Ladies and gentlemen, the Miami Heat and Oklahoma City Thunder, they're talking. This deal for Russell Westbrook, I expect something to get done. I'm not ruling the Rockets out. I'm not ruling the Heat out because that's what Russell Westbrook wants to be. I'm not ruling the Detroit Pistons out because I think they have the most to give the Oklahoma City Thunder right now. Like, we can do a deal right now. I'll give you Reggie Jackson, some picks, and some other things. So there's a lot right now going on in the minds of an Oklahoma City Thunder, a member of their organization. And I'm just kind of seeing how they're going to put all this into perspective and make a move for their franchise guy, Russell Westbrook, the guy that was loyal to them when Kevin Durant turned his back on the organization and dipped. Now, like I said, Russ has made it clear he wants to be a Miami Heat. That trade with the Heat is very complicated for a lot of reasons. I'll break down a few. The Miami Heat have let it be known that they don't want to trade Tyler HERRO. For those who don't know who he is, he's a Danny Green type player out of Kentucky that the Heat drafted. He's going to be a good two-guard in this league. He's going to be able to knock down shots. So you don't want to trade him. And also, you can't trade him until like 30 days. So they will have to prolong this thing until like the end of July. And also, the Miami Heat don't want to trade Bam Adebayo. That's what I call him because I never could get his last name right. Bam Adebayo, all right? He is off the limits. He's off the markets. The Heat won't trade him or HERRO. And I'm with it. I think Bam is a franchise player, right? I wouldn't trade him either. But everybody else is up for stake. Now, I'm looking at also Miami Heat, their salary cap situation. They're hard cap. For those who don't know what that means, they can only do dollar-for-dollar trades, meaning they can't go out and take on a lot of cap like Russell Westbrook, who's making about $39 million this year. They can't go on and just take his contract on and just give away a few of their smaller contracted players, right? They have to match this thing dollar for dollar pretty much for the NBA to approve it. Now, here's the dilemma. You think, okay, Oklahoma City, they could just take on Goran Dragic's contract. They could just take on a couple other of these Miami Heat contracts, make it work to trade Russell Westbrook. Well, here's the Oklahoma City Thunder side. If they're going to start over, they want to do this right. And one part of doing this right is they want to compile picks, short contracts, not long contracts with high salary caps. They want to get under that luxury tax. If they're not going to compete, they want to get under that cap. They don't want to be in that luxury tax part at all. So you got two sides here. Who's going to budge first? The Heat really can't budge because they have to go by the league, and they, again, pretty much they have to trade out dollar for dollar. But the Thunder could budge a little bit, and that would mean they would have to take on some contracts. But they don't want to be over the cap right now if they're going to trade their franchise guy. They're like, yo, we already ain't going to compete. We already lost Paul George. We're about to lose Russell Westbrook. We ain't about to be over the cap paying. We're going to have a bad team next year. We're going to be in tank mode, right? So there's a lot going on. To me, the Thunder got to wiggle a little bit if they want to trade Russell Westbrook. Now, maybe they just bring dude back. I doubt it. But if they want to do business with the Heat and please Russell Westbrook, their guy who stayed with them and was loyal to them, if they want to trade him to Miami, which is where he's let it be known he wants to be, he's even on Instagram right now liking posts of him in a Miami Heat uniform, the Thunder would have to budge a little bit. Now, I looked at the rosters of these two teams and see how the trade could work here. Obviously, the Heat would have to center their trade around Goran Dragic, who, again, Goran Dragic, he's a point guard. Russ is a point guard. It makes sense to trade a point guard with a decently high salary cap hit. Dragic's got $18 million on his deal this year. So, obviously, you let him go. The thing where it gets iffy at is, do you trade Kelly Olynyk? He got a $12 million cap hit. I'm pretty sure that he liked Kelly Olynyk. Dion Waiters is another guy, right? He played on the Thunder before. It looks like the Oklahoma City Thunder have no interest in rekindling that old flame. Dion Waiters really ain't paying out since he got that big payday in Miami. So a lot's going on. I would imagine a deal centers around Justice Winslow and Goran Dragic. And I don't know how you make this thing work. Maybe James Johnson again. When you add James Johnson to the deal, you start to get in that territory of where the Thunder don't want to go. They don't want to bring on a lot of cap back. The only way you can work with Miami if you go dollar for dollar. Or there's always the possibility of getting a third team involved. which could happen. A team that has cap, that missed out on some of the top tier free agents, that has a little room, they kind of just want to do a bone for a bone, maybe get a player like James Johnson, maybe could snag Justice Winslow if the Thunder don't really care about him. That could work, right? That could work. A third team could sneak in with cap room, Charlotte, Orlando, and maybe make this deal work with the Miami Heat. We'll see what happens. Again, it is worth noting, Russell Westbrook likely has played his last game in Oklahoma City. The Miami Heat is where he wants to go, but the Detroit Pistons have a lot of interest. Also, don't rule out teams like Orlando, Charlotte. They've got interest and they have cap room. We'll see what happens. I'm out.
I came from nothing, but I want everything God has for me. I interview celebrities. I talk sports. I still represent the culture.
All the kids, they are now tuned in.
Yo, we locked in right now, Mr.
Taliaferro. Mr.
Taliaferro.
Shout out to Mr. Taliaferro.
You're watching Mr.Taliaferro TV.
Mr. Taliaferro TV, here with the triple B's, you can't do nothing but win.